It is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Christmas. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. It's something that a lot of people struggle with when it's not really something you should have to struggle with. Now, you're going to have to do some stuff, so maybe we call that struggling, but it's passing the real estate exams. And with these exams, they're not exams that you could just go through the course and then go take the exam and expect to be able to pass. You do need to have some input on your part and putting in some time of actually studying and making sure you know this material, so that way you're not walking into the exam testing center wondering if you're going to pass, but knowing that you're going to go in there and pass. But with so much up in the air and so much that's protected and confidential with the state exam question bank, it makes you wonder, well, what is it do I need to know and how do I prepare for this type of exam? So at the Tampa School of Real Estate, we've used our knowledge. We started back in 2007, and we've used our knowledge over these years to develop the pass first try strategy. And we have so many success stories of students using this pass first try strategy to pass not only their class, but also their state exams on the first try. But with this strategy, you do have to follow the recipe. You know, if you got a recipe of, I'm a terrible baker, to give you an example here, and the reason why is because I always like to go off recipes. You can do that sometimes with cooking, but when you're baking something, you deviate too much from the recipe, and you're going to end up with something that tastes terrible, that doesn't rise, or whatever the case may be. So this pass first try strategy, this is your recipe for success on real estate exams. You follow this recipe, and you do what you're supposed to, you know, whisk the things a certain way, and so on and so forth. This pass first try strategy, it does work. And that's what we're going to go over today, what the pass first try strategy is, what study tools you can use to go along with that, and also how to really make sure that you're making the most for yourself out of this pass first try strategy rather than just going through the motions. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm excited to bring this show to you. I'm John Christmas. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Christmas. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And really the most technical thing, especially when you're first starting your real estate career, is passing your real estate exam. So we used our knowledge and experience. We've helped thousands upon thousands, we're in the range of somewhere tens of thousands now, of students getting their real estate license. We've been around since 2007 doing this. We have locations throughout Tampa with people from all over the world that take our Florida real estate licensing course. So we take all of this knowledge it is that we have and seeing what works for people, and we kind of boiled it down to something super simple that we call the pass first try strategy. So this link, passfirsttry.com, this has the full strategy, each step it is that you want to go through. And you'll find the bare bones of these steps it is we're going to go through today. But what I want to talk to you also and go in depth about is making sure that you're using these steps and you're just not kind of going through the motions, because that's what's much more important in all of this. So let's just cover what the steps are first and foremost, then we'll talk about the progression through these steps as well as what tools it is that you need for each one of these steps. So it's just a simple 4-step process. Let's not forget about 3 there. So it's a simple 4-step process here. Number 1, learn the information. Number 2, reinforce. Number 3, test. And number 4, be confident. So that's the 4 steps basically in a nutshell here. Number 1, learning the information. And this is where basically everyone has to do this, because this is a Florida Real Estate Commission requirement in order to get your real estate license is learning the information, aka taking a pre-licensing course. So to get a real estate license in Florida, you've got to learn the information. So that's always number one, learn the information. Everybody does that. Now, depending on the course that you take, there might be better presentations of the information. And with Tampa School of Real Estate, I assure you that we have the best presentation of the pre-licensing material you need for your sales associate license in Florida. And we've got a lot of study tools built into our courses already. And of course, we have some additional study tools if you really, because with this, following this recipe that you go through here, it's really a self-reflective exercise of, did you learn the information? Did you really honestly, and this is where you've got to be honest with yourself going through this process. And you got to be a little hard on yourself sometimes. Let's say you're in the classroom course and you're kind of checking out, you're on your phone, you're maybe texting your friends. You've got to be hard on yourself and honest with yourself. Am I really learning the information like I need to? And look, it's okay to get distracted. Everyone gets distracted sometimes, but you just got to be able to reel it back in and bring it back to this important first step of learning the information. If you're doing the online course, are you just kind of clicking through the stuff and figuring out process of elimination, what the right answer is, and not making any effort to try to remember that right answer, but just trying to move through the material? Or are you really trying to understand why that answer is that particular answer? And it doesn't necessarily mean you need to overcomplicate it, but when you're going at this, you're being honest with yourself. Oh, I don't really understand this. Let me go back and reread this section to figure out why this is the answer and not all the other ones. So that's really how you make the most out of learning the information. And really throughout this whole process, it comes back to you, again, being honest with yourself and being hard on yourself. You're having your first taste of being your own boss, because with this, yes, there's going to be checkpoints, and if you can't pass these checkpoints, you're not able to get the real estate license. But you're going to make it a lot more difficult on yourself if you don't just be a little bit hard on yourself in the first place. So it's really a good opportunity for you to practice being your own boss. So that's number one, learning the information, taking the course. And like I said, what is most important with that is just making sure you're making full use of that course, that you're really taking in the information it is that you're given. It's not important that you learn everything, but the things that are questioned, the things that are emphasized, the highlighted sections that you might see, the key terms, these things that are emphasized to you, they're emphasized for a reason. It's because they're important topics it is that you want to understand. Now that moves us into step two. So just to make it short, we'll call it reinforce, but really full thing is reinforce along the way. So what that means. So first, reinforce, really just another word for review, to review along the way. And what you're doing when you're reviewing is you're reinforcing your knowledge of this material, the basic fundamental key points that you need to remember. And this is the recipe for your success on your exam. This is what we recommend in our pass first try strategy, is that you remember the key points, and then we're going to get into that next step of testing yourself. Not testing yourself at the testing center. No, you don't want to spend money every time you want to test yourself. You want to test yourself beforehand and find out if you're ready for that actual state exam or even the class exam. But what you want to be reinforcing is not the questions. So this is a big mistake that I see a lot of students make, is they spend a lot of time trying to memorize the answer and question combination when they're dealing with multiple choice questions. So any multiple choice questions that you see in your online course, that you see in your classroom course, in your textbook, even in our question simulator, we'll talk about the recommended tools for all these, and the question simulator is one of them. Those are not there for you to memorize. The memorization is right here solely with step two. So this is really learn, memorization, application, and then be ready. Be ready and be confident. That's another way we could kind of look at this pass first try strategy here. So what you want to memorize are the basic key points, the simple definitions of some of these key terms, the number of days for certain things. And then what you've got to do is apply this knowledge in the context of a test question. So again, that mistake I see a lot of students make is trying to memorize the questions. And the problem with memorizing the questions, number one, there's 3 wrong answers for every 1 right answer that you're going to see excuse me, on a question. So 3 wrong answers for every right answer. So if you're memorizing that question, you're probably spending a little bit, even if it's subconsciously, of memorizing and trying to remember some of those wrong answers, even if you know the right answer is the one that's important. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is those aren't necessarily going to be the same exact question. Now, the questions you see in the question simulator, that you see in the book, that you see in your online course, there might be a similar question on the exam, but there's different scenarios. They're constantly making new questions every day at the Bureau of Education and Testing for this exam. They're constantly testing out new questions and trialing them and finding out what new questions they can add to the question bank. That's an ever-growing question bank. And I've heard, this is all rumor, I've heard as many 2,000 questions that they have in this question bank that they pull from for the exam. So if you try to memorize 2,000, that's number one, saying that you know all the 2,000 questions, and number two, excuse me, trying to memorize all 2,000 of those questions, it's virtually impossible. But what is possible is taking these simple key points, the points that we emphasize to you. In your online course, you've got some great little review sheets that's just quick little fact sheets that have information you need to know. In your classroom course, we give you some highlights and things like that in your textbook that are the most important topics. And when you take these simple concepts and remember these simple concepts, now the exam and the test questions will make this more complicated. They'll take this concept and twist it around and try to put it in this completely different context. But it all boils down to, once you've gone through and weeded through the question and simplified it down to what they're really looking for, it's one of these key points that they want you to memorize from the course that they're testing you on. So that's step two, is making sure you've got a firm understanding of what the key points are. We're going to talk about the other two remaining steps here, as well as what tools we recommend to help you guys pass your exams on your first try. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to get some water. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
If you've been thinking about real estate, look, in this current market, it's hard not to. There's so many opportunities that exist out there for residential real estate, commercial real estate, business brokerage, property management. I mean, it's ridiculous how much opportunity lies from having a real estate license. So look, if you've been thinking about getting a real estate license, I mean, it's minimal cost compared to starting other careers and starting other businesses to get into this. So I urge you to check it out and give it a try. I mean, even if you're just using your license for personal use, you've got huge, immense benefits there. Go to this link. It's licensefl.com. That's licensefl.com. Put that link in the description. It's got your step-by-step guide to get a Florida real estate license. And look, check it out. Give us a call. We're here to answer any questions it is that you have, and go out there and make some money.
Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that statewide only about 50% of test takers pass their state exam on the first try? At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we've broken down passing the class and state exams into 4 simple steps: learning the information, reinforcing the information, testing your knowledge, and being confident and prepared. View the details of the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're doing today is breaking down our pass first try strategy, really talking about the meaning of each one of these steps and why we made the steps what it is that they are. This is your formula for success, your recipe for success. And like any recipe, if you deviate from the recipe, if you do something a little bit different, you're not going to end up with the same results. So we try to make this as simple as possible and have great tools that go along with each one of these steps here to really kind of help you out through this process. So We talked about learning the information, which you do in the course, reinforcing the information along the way, making sure that you're memorizing these key points. And again, along the way, this little second part of that here, after that little comma, that's if you're going through, ideally, and some of you guys might be watching this after already having taken the course, which if that's the case, just get back to the simple key concepts, keep going back. But the emphasis of the along the way is as you go through the material, don't forget what you learned or already started reviewing. So, for example, when you're going through the course for the first time, there's 19 different units of content. And, you know, you get into Chapter 4, Chapter 5, that stuff that you learned in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is already starting to seem a little bit distant, and you still got to get all the way to Unit 19. So as you progress deeper into the course, you don't want to forget about that stuff at the beginning. The worst thing you could do is go learn all the material and then try to start to review. And basically then what you're doing is starting from scratch, and what you're doing is having to learn the material all over again. And some of you guys that might have already taken the course that maybe haven't taken the exam yet, or you know there's some time that came up that got in the way, you might find yourself going back to step 1 of learning that information again, so then you can reinforce it, and then moving on to step 3, testing your knowledge. So testing your knowledge, basically taking a look at some practice questions, and honestly, again, the key thing here is being honest with yourself. This process, these study tools are there solely for you to help you be better prepared to pass your class and state exams. So as you go through and do practice questions, whether you're doing practice questions in your online course, in your textbook, or however it is that you're doing these questions, as you do these practice questions, a couple things you want to keep in mind. Number 1, don't try to memorize that question. If you get that question wrong, try to understand the key point that was being asked about. Number 1, how that applied in this question, and number 2, did you remember that key point even to begin with? If you find yourself having to guess or wanting to guess because you don't know what the answer is, that should automatically be a wrong answer for you if you're having to guess on it. Because it doesn't matter if you're a good guesser or not, you know. With this exam, it doesn't matter how great it is you are at guessing. That's not a recommended strategy to pass your any exams, really. It's just going at it and guessing. Yes, it is multiple choice, so you do at least have a 25% chance of every question it is that you get it right, but you multiply that out, your odds are not good for passing. So when it is that you have to guess on one of these questions, just simply tell yourself, hey, this is basically that I've got this one wrong. And it's not a bad thing when you're getting it wrong, especially when it's practice questions. Now, if it's the real exam and you get the question wrong, that's not great. That we could call that bad. But when it's a practice question, it's okay. It's good to get questions wrong, because if you get all the questions right, you don't have anything to sink your teeth into, to go back into and further review and look at and say, hey, I need to look back at this concept in this chapter, in this unit. I need to look at this stuff here. If you're not honest with testing your knowledge here, that makes it difficult to progress on further and be ready for the exam. So as you go through and do your practice questions, 2 things it is that you got to keep in mind. Number 1, be honest with yourself. And number 2, that you're not trying to memorize these questions. Be honest with yourself and don't try to memorize the questions. Don't just sit there and try to say, okay, this is what it is, this is what the question is, and do the same question again and again and again. That might actually work for math questions, but the non-math questions, going through it more than once, it loses its effectiveness of being a practice question. Again, it's okay to get them wrong here. You should be wanting to get some wrong so you know what you need to go back and reinforce a little bit more. And you'll find yourself, as you go through this process, you might have to jump back to here. You might have to jump all the way back to step 1 for certain concepts. And then finally, number 4, be confident and prepared. So being confident and prepared. Look, if you go through these questions and you're just guessing on them, that's not confidence. You might say, oh, wow, I'm a good guesser if you get a couple of them right. I'm great at guessing. But are you really willing to roll those dice on your exam? So being confident and prepared is all about not just having a basic understanding and thinking you have an understanding, but knowing that you have an understanding of these key points and you know how to apply them in the concept of a question. So that's what's super important with the pass first try strategy. This final step, a lot of people say, confidence and whatnot. Yeah, that's not. It's so important for this exam. The reason why is these questions are written, the answer choices are written with wrong answers that sound more correct to somebody who is not a master of the material, somebody who has not fully mastered all the content that's in there, and they have these wrong answers to make you second guess yourself, because it sounds, your common sense would tell you, hey, that's the right answer. This is really what the answer should actually be. That's what your common sense is telling you, but if you go off your knowledge of the material that you learned in the course, you find out, oh, wait a minute, that's a trick right there. They've got that to catch the people that are just trying to fake it till they make it through this exam, which that is not a strategy that I'd recommend. So let's talk about the recommended study tools for each one of these steps here. So again, this is your course, Learning the Information, that you have to take. It's required by the Florida Real Estate Commission. Unless you're an attorney in good standing with the Florida Bar, or you have a real estate degree, a bachelor's degree in real estate. Those are the two exceptions. If you have a bachelor's degree in real estate, or if you're an attorney in good standing with the Florida Bar, you're exempt from having to take the course. You go straight to taking the exam. I still would recommend that you go through and learn the information rather than just trying to take the exam 10 times until you eventually pass. That's going to be a lot of time, effort, and money to take the exam that many times. But for everyone else who's not an attorney or having a 4-year real estate degree, you've got to take the course. So you're basically required to learn the information. Now, for reinforcing along the way, a lot of things it is that you could do. Flashcards are great. Just rereading even the key points, or those little PDF guides that you get in our online course, those are really great as well. But one of the study tools that is the #1 study tool I'd recommend, not only because this is the first study tool in the process that goes along with this reinforce along the way part here, but because it really allows you to almost automate and be a little bit more passive about having to study to memorize these key points. And this is our MP3 audio review. So the MP3 audio review, it's just a few hours really of the key points of every unit. And again, it keeps it nice and simple, because that's what you want to do with these key points. You don't want to try to make these more complicated or remember every last detail where every T needs to be crossed and every I needs to be dotted. That's too deep into this. Start out and just get that surface level, that basic understanding of the key points, and that's probably all you're going to need for the most part for almost any question as they throw at you. Because again, on the exam, they're testing your knowledge of these key points. So the MP3 audio review, that's a great study tool because, again, it allows you to automate the actual review of this. You can kind of sit in your car, pop it on, and wherever it is that you're driving, just listen to that. Even if you don't have your 100% focus on that MP3 audio review, the more times it is you listen to it, the more it starts to seep in, and the more it is that you start to remember these basic key points. So this is always where I recommend that you start out with. Getting the key points down, and that MP3 audio review is such an important study tool. I highly recommend it. To test your knowledge, now you've got some questions in your textbook and your online course, but if you're looking for something to simulate the exam, which is basically what you're doing, you're trying to test your knowledge before the exam will test your knowledge, that's our question simulator. So our question simulator basically gives you questions structured exactly like the state exam. Now, they're not going to be the same questions as the state exam, and that's not the goal here. The goal, again, is not try to study 2,000 different questions and memorize 2,000 different questions. You just want to remember a couple hours of key points, but then also know how to apply those in a question. And some of these questions might go a little bit deeper than some of these key points. There might be something where you need to go a little bit deeper on the stuff, but for the most part, these basic fundamental key points, once you sift through the question, you find out that it usually is just asking about something super simple. And now our fourth step here, being confident and prepared, the tool that we recommend the most, the program for being confident and prepared, is the Weekend Prep class. So the weekend prep class, it's intense. It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, all day, 9 to 5, of basically going through every unit in the course and reviewing the key points, applying them in some questions, in some concepts, and overall just trying to make sure you're not going to be learning anything new in the weekend prep class. You absolutely should not be learning something new in the weekend prep class, because this is a review of the most fundamental topics that are covered in the course. Now, it's a lot of information across just 2 days to cram in. So if you do this weekend prep class, make sure that you've got your exams scheduled, because there is sometimes a waiting period for your exam. So going through this weekend prep class, it's really great because it crams everything in, but as fast as you cram it in, you start to forget it. So what can you do after you've taken the weekend prep class? If you know you don't have your exam the next day, maybe it's a couple days out or a week out, every single day, you need to be going back through these steps here. Going back, reinforce the information, testing your knowledge, reinforcing it and testing it, reinforcing it and testing it, because that's not only going to maintain your confidence that you know this material.
If you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate.
Do you want a career that allows you to be in control? With a career in real estate, you'll get to call the shots. Whether you're looking at starting part-time or want to become the next top agent, a career in real estate makes it possible. Find out what it takes at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrisma with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.